Okay, so yesterday we saw and tried to understand uh, Aparna and Rani's relations, and we saw that something is absolutely wrong with the kind of relation they are having. And today we'll try to understand more through different characters. We have introduced Kapanna and Kurudwa. So I'm not going to read the entire script. So bear with me and try to read on your own the sections that I'm not reading, right? And if you have any questions, please do post and ask as and when you feel that these questions needs to be answered. Okay? Okay. Now, see, when we talk of Rani and Aparna, we say not satisfied couple in terms of their relations. Kurudwa and Kapanna, they come to see because they see Apanna's house locked from outside, and people have a tendency to look into some other's house. They're walking and Kurudwa stops somewhere and he says that that witch or fairy, whatever she is, Kapanna, Gurudwa says that you should not think about her. Um, and the relationship between his Kapanna is son and Gurudwa is daughter, mother. So they look at, that doesn't seem to be anyone in Apanna's house. There is a lock on the front door. Hope you're able to see where I'm reading. I'm reading from here, right? So Gurudwa says, how is that possible? Even if he is lying in his concubine's house, his bride should be home. So everybody knows that Apanna got married and his wife is there. Somehow they see and they're surprised to see how that is possible. How can you lock someone in, especially your wife? So Kapanna says, who can tell about Apanna? He is a lunatic. So you can see how character is built around Apanna, that how people are describing him. So these are the characteristics that you should be looking at. Why he is lunatic? Because he locks his wife into a home and leaves her alone for the entire day. So this is how Apanna looks at Apanna's character. Kurudwa, you don't think he could have sent his wife back to her parents already, do you? Come, let us look in through the window and check. Now, this is what I was trying to tell, that people are nosy. They love to get into somebody's business. Now, they move on and they see near the window in the house and they find the house is empty. So I'm reading from there. Of course it is silly. How can anyone be inside when there is a lock outside the door? Obvious. And if you think that is obvious, I think the playwright is going to change that scenario. Tell me, can you see clothes drying inside? What kind of clothes? Any saris, skirts, or is it only men's clothes? Now, from this, they try to understand whether any female existence is there inside or not. I can't see a thing. Then he goes on to say, and suddenly they find a woman. And the first thing that comes to Gurudwa is the ghost. Now, the relationship which the society is trying to build around women is of witch and ghost. So this is what immediately comes to playwright's mind, that whenever a woman is seen, we try to get frightened because she is not with her man. And that's where the problem lies, that it is in that time, it was not possible to see a woman around alone. And therefore you have seen that flames were walking alone, naked in the dark night, right? There is someone inside the house, a woman. You don't have to tell me that. So what if there is a woman inside the house? We have come here precisely because a woman is supposed to be in the house, right? Because Aparna got married and there must be a woman inside the house, and that's obvious. But what does it mean when a man locks his wife in the house? And this is where we can question the society represented by Aparna. So how can a man do that? If you are a child, uh, we can imagine that in order to protect you, because you are in childhood, so parents, if they have to go, must go outside, then they may lock you. But for a certain limited number of minutes, not hours, that's possible. But even if you do that in certain countries like United Kingdom or United States of America, and almost all the developed countries, it is a crime. It can take life of the child. And considering that, it is not a good practice to lock anybody inside the room. And when you lock inside the room someone, you are trying to control the movement in the sense that they should not go outside. They don't have right to go outside. So you try to protect them, or maybe overprotect them, or you are trying to protect yourself. In this case, Apanna is trying to protect himself. If his wife goes out and discovers that he has illicit relationship, illegal relationship, extramarital relationship with a concubine outside, she might run away from the house and she may go back to parents' house. In either case, Apanna's reputation, remember he is a rich man, so his reputation may be tarred. So in order to do that, he is doing this, right? Okay, and he married Rani. We will come to know later that he married Rani out of social pressure, because his parents are dead, and therefore he needs to get married. So Kapan clearly says it means he does not want anyone to talk to his wife. That time, Gurudwa uses a very interesting metaphor, a caged bird, pet animals, right? We domesticate them, we subjugate them, we give them food, we give them water at our convenient time. We know their necessities, we know their requirements, and still we curtail them. We clip their wings so that they cannot fly, they cannot go outside the boundaries that you have created. And this is a very powerful symbol that you will read in Maya Angelou's writings. Not only in Maya Angelou's writing, even in Gujarati writings, if you are familiar with Panna Nayak, in her poem called Diwan Khani, it's a beautifully written poem. She talks herself like she is a caged bird, that she has a freedom to move around in the house, but beyond the house, no, you are not supposed to leave that. You are not supposed to move beyond threshold of your house. If you move, something might happen. You don't know this, the social, economic, and family consequences. To prove you that point, I think you all remember when Sita leaves the Lakshman Rekha, right? Lakshman has drawn a line and has instructed her clearly that you should not leave this boundary. The consequences for her, we know what happens then. But this is what the females have been subjugated for long. Now, we can question about how Valmiki treats Sita in this particular context. And we can see how Aparna treats Rani in this context. Though both are different, there is only one comparison, that both are not supposed to leave the threshold of the house. In Lakshman's mind, the safety is priority, that some creature or rakshas or demons may harm Sita. That's one issue. And that is the context in which he does safeguarding her. Now, again, very interestingly, according to myth, Sita herself is a form of Lakshmi. She is a Devi. She is a powerful goddess, right? She can use her powers, but the way it has been used in the human form, that she is represented as weak. She is powerless. She is dependent. Now, these are all symbols that we need to understand, that why women have been portrayed like this, they have been represented like these. Because it's a male patriarchal society, at one you can say that. But then, if such stories are the replication of the society and the mindset, then Aparna is continuing that. And he is using such myths and legends from the epics to suit his purposes. In Lakshman context, it was a safeguarding Sita. But here, Aparna's purpose is entirely different. So he cuts Rani's wings. He does not allow her to talk to the society, to the villagers. And this is what you need to focus on, that how Aparna is subjugating Rani. And how Rani can be compared to the women across India and the world. Panna Nayak is a Gujarati lady. She lives in the United States. She belongs to Surat. And despite the fact that she is an educated lady, she writes in her mother tongue, and she is a creative writer based in the United States. She still feels that she is a caged bird. Now, Maya Angelou is a black woman writer. Now, if black women writer and Indian women writer living in the United States are similar, then can we say that women across the world live in the same world, a caged world? Why are they caged all the time? You read the Muslim writers, and they also replicate the same kind of notions about. I'm not just talking about religion in a particular. Panna Nayak is Hindu. Then Maya Angelou is a Christian, Afro-American. So I'm talking about across religion, across caste, across culture. Females have been subjugated across the world, and they have their wings cut by the so-called patriarchy. So that's what you need to read through this character. Now, Kurudwa and Kapanna both try to interact, and Kapanna is, Kurudwa is one who goes and approaches Rani and says, Rani says that, who are you? And the conversation goes in. And she is trying to make her comfortable by saying that, don't worry, you don't need to be afraid. And she introduces and says, your mother-in-law and I were like sisters. I helped when your husband was born. So she was there as the delivery was, labor pain occurred to Aparna's mother. And she can be called the nurse. So she knows Aparna well. And when she says that I know your husband when he was born, that means she is saying that his character is a kind of lunatic, and I know him from his childhood. So don't be frightened. Aparna is like my son. And is he not in? And that entire conversation is going to change the course of the play. No. Okay, wait a minute. Yeah. I don't know. That is the answer a wife, recently married wife gives about her husband's whereabouts. She does not know where he is. And this is a very, very serious kind of relationship that we are talking about. How is that possible that husband behaves such irresponsibly and wife does not have a right to ask, where are you going? You can imagine what kind of relationship we are talking about. It's total subjugation. She has no voice at all. It is Kurdwa who brings these things out. And what's her name? They call me Rani. Again, this is very interesting. She acknowledges that people call me this. She doesn't say, this is a very subtle way of saying that how society and my parents and my relatives view me. They call me Rani. So you can introduce yourself, I am Rani. There is a difference. When I say I am Mrunal and I am whatever, and then somebody say, then I introduce myself, they call me Mrunal. There is a difference. And this difference is looking yourself from third person's point of view. Remember we discussed the point of views. So she is looking at herself from others' point of view. Now, if Rani is a very common character across the Indian region, are we saying that the identity with which the first point of view, the first person point of view should be narrated doesn't happen here? They call me Rani. Instead, she should have said, I am Rani. So see the subtle language usage by Girish Karnad. They call me Rani. The first person, I'm introducing myself and I'm still saying he or they call me Rani. I don't want to be called myself Rani. There is a different meaning attached towards it. Right? Maybe it is a name given by her parents, but this suggests that she may not like it. She may not agree with the kind of identity imposed upon her. And we have to see Rani's character entirely instead of looking at parents' perspective. How is she Rani? Because we understand Rani as a queen, and queen may take decision, at least some of the decisions she can take on her own. But here, her saying that they call me Rani, that means she has no right to take a decision. Fucking asked, and she says she does not know. And she inquires further. And she said, don't mean he is home only once a day, and that too only for lunch. And she says, are you alone in the house all day? And that's where she breaks. Rani succumbs to that psychological pressure that she was suffering, and she starts crying. So you hear all that, and Rani says, I'm here in this condition since I came to this place. And Gurudwa asks, does he beat you or ill-treat you? No. Does he talk to you? Now, this is a real interesting ladies' conversation that Karnad is getting into. That he does, but not a syllable more than required. Not a syllable more than required. Do this, do that, serve the food. These is all imperatives. It's all commands. Now you can see how Rani say, they call me. And this is where we need to understand that how Rani is subjugated in the entire play. You mean, that means you are still, she is meeting Rani for the first time. and she is not able to open up because it's a first meeting, and Rani is just entered into the adulthood, and yet Urudua is not asking the question that she is asking. Apart from him, you are the first person I have seen since coming here. I'm bored to death. There is no one to talk to. Okay, now this is the talk which Gurudwara now specifies. Apart from, okay, that's not what I mean by talk. Has your husband touched you? And then she does not know how to put it in words. How can I put it? Didn't anyone explain to you before your wedding? Your mother or your aunt? This is where she's talking of the conjugal relationship, what marriage is all about. She is hinting, she's trying to bring sex into the part, the love into the part, the romance into the part, but she's not able to do that entirely. And she's taking refuge that nobody has explained you that what happens in marriage, or what happens after your wedding, the first night, or the whatever that can be informed to a young girl. And she's saying, did your mother do explanation, or your aunt or something, someone? And Rani's answer is really interesting. My mother, the day I wedded, started crying. No, the day I came to adulthood, she started crying, and she's still crying. Now, this can be interpreted in a sense that her mother, maybe she's in the same condition, and therefore she is not able to help her daughter out. And she says she is probably crying even now. The male kind of attitude has made familiar Rani's mother what is going to happen with Rani. And she may not be able to articulate well, and therefore she is crying. And this is utterly lack of preparing for a transition period that happens from parents' house to in-laws' house, from child adolescence to adulthood, from a young girl to a married woman. So it is the duty, that's what she is trying to say, Kurugwa is trying to say, that it is women's duty to give this kind of information to their daughters. And Rani is clueless about all these things because nobody has told her to say. And then you can read further, and then she is trying to make her calm. She uses her beauty, and you can use these lines. Um, this is very interesting for the characterization of Rani. Ayo, and then she looks in, through the window and finds that she is really beautiful. Ears like hibiscus, skin like young mango leaves, lips like a roll of silk. How can that Apana gallivant around living such loveliness, wasting away at home? Now, this is the objectification of female body. Again, Girish Karnad does it through Kurudua, but he has a sense of purpose that why he needs to objectify the body of Rani. And because he is doing it through Kurudua, we can sense that it is not an ordinary girl. She is just mature enough to be enjoyed, and she has all the right to get into the conjugal life. But Aparna is mad, and he is lunatic. So what Rani says, I'm frightened at night, I can't sleep a wink. At home, I sleep between father and mother, but here, alone. Now this is Um, uh, I don't know. How can this be possible if she is to be married in adulthood? How can a girl, an adult girl who is about to get married, can sleep between a father and mother? So from these, from here, the words I'm highlighting, we can imagine the age of the child. And I would prefer the word child. She may be adolescent, but still she is not grown up. And this indicates child marriage. She may not be 18. She may be in her teens when she was married off. So otherwise, it's not possible that a father and son would allow a daughter to sleep between them. But here alone, Gurudwa, can you help me please? Will you please send a word to my parents that I'm like this here? Will you ask them to free me and take me home? Now, the caged bird metaphor is applicable correctly here. Whatever he's trying to, Karnad is trying to achieve. Don't say such things. And this is where you need to understand that how females tried to avoid things that can go against the social norms. Once a woman married to somebody in the society, and if she returns within a couple of days, girls' parents are considered and humiliated. It's an insult to the parents. Nobody cares about what happened to the girl. Only care is given to the person who is left alone, like Appan. This is very serious. And see, Kurudwa says that you should not think of leaving your own husband, your own in-laws' house. She's going to take care of that. Now, she has maybe a soft corner towards this young Rani, and she may have something to offer as a solution to the problem that Rani is thinking that I would be free if I leave this house. And if somebody comes out and pick me up and take me back to my parents' home. So this is where we need to understand that how females try to solve the problems themselves if uh, the females, the women are in-laws. And she is not a relative, she's a neighborhood. So things go perhaps in a good sense, the problems can be solved. May it be happen that it may go otherwise. And it does in this play that it go otherwise. Okay, so let's go through it and try to understand. She calls his son and they come to the house, Gurudwara, and they try to get something. This is the solution that Gurudwara is thinking, and she is giving some root, and these root are to be given in a specific way. Feeding the smallest piece first. If that gives no result, then try the middle-sized one. Only if both fail, feed the largest piece. So there are three pieces of fruit, the smallest, middle, and the largest one. Feed him the smallest piece first. So she gives her a kind of a root which would work magically, an Ayurvedic thing, maybe, I don't know what to call it, Afrosia or something, which has an effect on male or even anybody to get involved into love, right? And then one day, a boy destinedly related to me came to our village and stayed with us. That day I ground one of the pieces into paste, and what happened? What happened? What happened? What happened? Yes, mixed it with the food and served him. Can you guess which piece I chose? the smallest one as the mandate said. No, surely the biggest piece. No, I was in such a hurry. I barely noticed the small one. The biggest scared me, so I used the middle-sized one. He finished the meal, gave me one look, and instantly fell in love. Married me within next 2 days. Never went back to his village. It took the plague to detach him from me. Now, this is very interesting. This is
Maybe some network issue on his side.
there was a there was a network issue on my side. Thank you very much for staying. I think I would end the meeting here because the internet connection is not stable, and I request all of you to attend this session at 1 p.m. And if you have any questions, please do ask the speaker. He is a former advisor to Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, and I will introduce him. And it's indeed privilege to have with us such a personality. And he would be talking about how he is meeting and how he inspired from Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. So please stay tuned and be attentive. If you have not registered, please do register as soon as possible. Thank you very much, and I'll end the class here because I think I have.
Sir, I have something to say.
Yes,
I
yes.
have something to say, sir. Sir, maybe for a few days I might not be able to connect on time because, sir, there is some malfunctioning happening with this. Sir. Yesterday also in Pratik's lecture I wasn't able to connect.
Okay.
Sometimes it happens, sir. And
Okay,
today
no worries,
also
no
I
worries,
was
no
late.
worries. But I request you all to join as and when you got a time, because it's going to be a very important talk by the person that we have invited. Okay, bye now. Thank you very much, and we'll see tomorrow when we have a class. Thank you very much. See you all.
Okay, sir. Thank you,
Bye.
sir.
Bye. Bye.